Today is May 19th, and it's year 2015. I am going to show you a couple of things just right there on my floor, because the color's orange and pink, and then I was covering over yellow, but kind of thinking about what to do. You can see that there are dog paw prints there, and that's something that occurred when I used the same color combination when I was younger, and I had a case over a baby girl named Sophia. And this is the third case that I've had over a baby girl named Sophia. And I am going to show you how things that are in my RV here and that I did back then, which I've repeated now, were used for the music video for Hips Don't Lie, which Shakira performed, and she claimed she wrote, but she did not write it. I wrote it. This is one of the sort of ensembles that is featured in that music video. She wears a little bralette that's red. I had purchased at the time a bright red swimsuit from Land's End, and I actually wore this to my court hearing for jurisdictional trial back then. And I got this same suit again, and then I wore it again for the same jurisdictional trial. And I used to dance around my house in my RV like this. Who knows what kind of hidden cameras were around to catch me doing that. But right now my place is a mess. It was a mess back then too, because there was a big flood that occurred. It repeated itself, ironically. And I had to take everything out. I had boxes everywhere, and I was trying to figure out paint schemes. And so I had different colors laid out on a palette, kind of using the floor as a palette. Figure out what colors I wanted to do. And anyway, I wrote the song Hips Don't Lie because I was, well, there's a long story behind it, and I wrote some of that in my Twitter account, a little bit about that. I can tell more about that. I actually would like to find a publisher, probably from a different country, that would be interested in publishing a book about the meanings behind all of the songs I wrote that the U.S. was trafficking and sold out from under me without my permission or consent. They did not have, pardon my, probably, but anyway, also I had a shirt like this back then, which I have now. It's on back, it's on inside out, but I used to go around dancing in this too, and the orange was something that I was looking at mostly for maybe like bedding, and wanted something bright and vibrant. But if you look at the color schemes in that music video, you can see that it follows things that I was doing. So I'm going to just throw something, I guess, around myself since I'm not wearing a bra at the moment. And I used to tie my shirt up. Had a little white shirt that I would tie in the middle. That's another thing that I did. I'll show you the shirt. Just a minute. Just a plain white shirt, you know, plain white button-down shirt. You could knot it in the middle. This was also something that I got way back then because I was trying to find work, and I figured a plain white shirt would just about go with everything. So, and you notice the tassels here. I also did wear a scarf around my bust with the tassels, and looked at different color combinations like this with, you know, how clashing is red with pink, or does it somehow work? Hey, well, if I put this underneath that, and then I do this, let's see, how can I incorporate this into maybe a bedding and pillow scheme? Not sure, but oh my gosh, I think that I have just inspired a little red bralette with little fringe that's hanging out from under it. So anyway, My hair back then was very long too, and I dyed it black. Started fading a little bit, so it was more of a brown. But my hair is red naturally. So, and I did alternate. I've always alternated my entire life between having my hair just back or having it down and having a lot of hair. So what I'm going to do, actually, I have a different computer here, and it actually has hardly any sound. I need probably a CD player that plays has louder volume. But I'm going to sing along to my own song. Actually, you just cannot hear that at all. Don't you love the guy in the little animal suit that goes running out there in the yellow? She make a man wanna sing Spanish, como se llama, bonita, mi casa. Oh, baby, when you talk like that, you make a woman go mad. So be wise and keep on reading the signs in my body. I'm on tonight, you know my hips don't lie, and I'm starting to feel as though. You really can't hear this music though. Anyway. I knew Shakira. So I got trafficked over there by the CIA, which I mentioned in my lyrics. And she taught me some dance moves, but I didn't remember anything. I'm not really, like, I didn't have hardly any training in it. But I wrote the song. Actually, it's a song that is thinly veiling the topic of rape. And it's also a song that's meant to be upscale and pop and like romantic and positive. But in most of my songs, I encode other meanings to help me remember things that the United States government was doing to me. So I use the word wise because my daughter's name is Sophia, and it means wisdom, and I wanted to incorporate that in some way into my song. But hips don't lie was a conversion of the words lips don't lie because I was being accused of being Anna the Russian spy. And in addition to that, I was being the government was all over me. They've made a huge amount of money off of me. They were telling me that I never wrote the Like a Virgin entire CD for Madonna, which I did. And then they were making this huge thing out of how you're not a virgin. Like, they didn't want me to get married for whatever reason, or they were constantly targeting me about how I was not pure and I was not a virgin, and all I was a whore and a slut. And they started coming up with an idea of trying to discredit and defame me socially so that I had less power, because I was powerful. My music is powerful. And the government made more money off of me than they did any of their drugs transactions, which is why I call this a musical transaction in the video, because they were making a ton of money off of me. And so they came in with this guy one time, and he said, "You're not a virgin, and your lips don't lie. You've had babies, you're stretched out like that. And how many men have raped you? How many men have you been raped by, Kenna? You think you're a virgin? Huh? You can't go back." So they kept saying my lips, like my vaginal lips, didn't lie, and they were making fun of me at my house in Moses Lake after I was trafficked back to Moses Lake, after I was in an RV like this one in Coke Hill, Oregon. And, you know, they trafficked me to different places, Columbia and all over. So they harassed me with that, and I wrote a song about it. And I wanted to incorporate Spanish because I knew some Spanish. And then what little Spanish I didn't know in conjunction and how to phrase things, I had a Spanish-English dictionary that I was given, and I looked things up. So I wrote several songs for Shakira that looked like she wrote them because it had Spanish in them, but I wrote them. I wrote, for example, Hips Don't Lie, which has Spanish in it. And I also wrote, well, I wrote, there are about, like, I think that I've noticed at least 5 or 6, maybe more. I'd have to go through some of these artists. I don't even know, I'm not even sure how many artists the United States government trafficked my music to. You know, realized and recognized several of them, you know, when the music comes out and I know it's my song. But I don't know about all of it. I guess what I would, what I want is I want my money. Where's my fucking money? Okay, so this is where I am now. Isn't this great? This is how the United States government treats someone that is that they profited off of more than a lot of people. I might be up there. I think Warren Buffett probably would be kissing my ass if I had the money that I've actually earned off of my songs. I think Warren Buffett knows this. And I met Warren Buffett. He was trying to give me investment advice, and actually he could have given me some serious investment advice, but he knew that I was getting stolen from. He knew I had nothing to invest. So there are several individuals in the United States that know that I have been tortured and gang raped multiple times, and that they put me into mental hospitals a couple of times, or like into clinic and different things when I was younger, to discredit me and to shut me up, and they threatened me every time. Are you going to say that you didn't ever do any of these things, or, you know, whatever? And I think that the entire objective of keeping me down financially and otherwise is to make it look like it's impossible. Oh yeah, there's this crazy lady who, she's kind of pretty sometimes, but she lives in an RV in a trailer, and she's claiming she wrote all of these songs and that the whole government is against her, and she's been all over the world and all this. So the objective has been to make it the discrepancy of what I have actually done and my earnings, technically, so drastically different from where I actually am and what they've done to me. It sort of proves my point that I've been a hostage in the United States. I've gone to many countries and asked for political asylum, actually. But they get bribed by the United States government that says, here, we'll give you a trade deal or whatever, as long as you keep your mouth shut about this, because we can all make money off of Cameo. And I'm extremely against human cloning, and the United States government, that's the second thing that they've been doing aside from stealing my music. They've been human cloning people in the U.S., and it's outright slavery. Someone who is a clone right from conception cannot be considered a free citizen. They are considered to be government property. It's not, the government does not even allow private human cloning, so all of the clones are government are government originated, I would say. And they've done this to several of my babies. I've seen my brother Levi, actually, when I was younger. I almost flipped out because one day I saw Levi, and he had this horrible injury. It was like a burn or a cut or something. The next day I see my brother again. It was like the very next day. He had no injury. And it wasn't like he had like a miracle Band-Aid on his skin. He had no sign of injury, and I was freaking out because I thought my brother needed some help, and he's like out of it. And that's when I realized I have a brother that's a twin, or is he a clone? And then he grew up, and I've seen 2 kids of his, 2 boys that are exactly identical, decades apart. So obviously the U.S. government cloned one of his kids, and I've seen the government has cloned 2 or 3 of my baby girls. I mean, maybe there was the original baby girl that I had, but then after that, the government was cloning off of them. And my son is not a clone, but my daughters have been, and all of them have been born at Coos Bay Hospital. It's a government-run, locked down, blackmailed, bribed government institution, basically. It looks like it's some kind of regular hospital, and it's not. So, I guess what I would like to do, since I am able to, I have such a cachet of songs, and because I am the one who knew what the inspiration was for the music that I wrote to them, how they were supposed to be enunciated, the inflection, and some of my own even dance moves that got incorporated into music videos later. And because I know the meanings and the double meanings, sometimes triple meanings, to all of my songs and how I coded them, I would like to possibly start, if not with a law firm that would represent me over some of this, getting my money for songs that I wrote and holding the U.S. accountable for stealing from me, never taking me to trial over anything that I did supposedly wrong that would allow them to steal from me. And and in addition to that, I'd like to at least write a book, and probably with another country or a publisher house, and go over all of the different meanings to these songs. And I'm not going to do it and hand over my book draft to some United States CIA asshole or federal government asshole and have them say, thanks, now we're going to add this to our Cameo Garrett museum that we have of all your artifacts and lyrics and things that you've written that maybe one day we'll make a huge amount of money off of, but right now we're not going to admit anything. So I don't want to just have someone collect more of my work product to refuse to pay me for it. So I would be looking for a contract where I get paid as I go, and in working on a book about this. I am just looking something up real quick. Because I was writing hundreds, thousands of songs when I was younger. And I'm going to tell you, so sometimes I have to actually look up some of the titles, because how someone titled one of my songs isn't always necessarily how I titled it. Typically, it's pretty close to how I even titled my song, but on occasion, it's slightly different. So it helps to refresh my memory on which songs are actually mine or not mine. And then there are some that probably I'd have to hear again because I haven't been keeping up with all the music anthologies that come out to find out whether it is or not. Hips Don't Lie I wrote. This is just for Shakira, just off the top of my head. Whenever, Wherever. That was one of the first songs that I wrote that incorporated Spanish, and I used a Spanish-English dictionary for it. La Tortura, if you can believe that, but yeah, I actually wrote that, and it's about torture. And She-Wolf. And there are a couple of other ones that I'd have to look at to be sure that I wrote them or not. There's also one that I wrote in English that she changed over and translated over into Spanish completely. When I hadn't done any kind of Spanish incorporation, but anyway, so I would have to actually go through. I mean, there are several artists that I know have stolen a few of my songs, or maybe many of my songs, and then they produce subsequent CDs and everything after that. I would literally probably have to go through and sit down and be able to say, okay, this one I know is mine, this one's not. This one I think is, but I mean, typically I either know or I don't. It's pretty rare that I have any hesitation, because I worked so hard on my songs and I had so much meaning that went into them that it's pretty much once I refamiliarize myself with which song it was that I wrote, because as I say, I wrote thousands of songs. I was being locked in my room basically with no friends and just told to sing. And there were people showing up at my our back driveway in Sherwood, one of the houses I was trafficked to. They were showing up in the middle of the night, and I were going out there and asking, where's music? We need more music. And I think that could have been a ruse, because the thing is our house was bugged. So I mean, the CIA and the FBI were able to put hidden cameras in our house and have audio and have things constantly recording. So the idea that they would actually drive out and need to pick up tapes I mean, I did make some tapes, so maybe sometimes they wanted like actual physical, and my lyrics, maybe sometimes they wanted something physical for their little museum of artifacts. You know, this is what Cameo did. This is Cameo, as she recorded herself, you know, or this is Cameo's lyrics as she wrote them. But anyway, what I really want is I want a RICO lawsuit against the federal government. And they put me in jail. They put me in jail on false arrest, and they steal my cars, and they call me nuts and try to lock me up because of that. And I'm in no position to do to file a lawsuit, and they know it. So they kidnap my kids whenever they know that I'm unable to effectively litigate against them. So I really am looking for information. And you got any? Oh, my neck is killing me because that's from one of the assassination attempts by the United States government. A guy hijacked my car. Like, Middle Easterners know this. Well, a lot of people know this. I'm not going to say Middle Easterners know this because I think a few people knew it before I did, because I wasn't wanting to process the idea that, oh yes, someone really tried to kill me, my own best friends. that I was going to move to Tennessee with and start my music career. Well, that was a scary idea, that I might start trying to stand up for myself and the fact that I wrote all these songs. So, hey guys, let's hijack her car and try to roll it. And we don't care if we get killed. I mean, seriously, they must have been getting, like, paid before they ever got in the car with me to start with. And then maybe they had a deal that, like, okay, if we do die, you will funnel our money to the rest of our families, and we'll feel like we're heroes, and we've done, like, a great thing for all the criminals in the world. But Mike Nichols worked for the CIA and the federal government. He was a little kid, and he was showing up in the back driveway with some of the other federal governments that were showing up in the middle of the night over in Sherwood, Oregon, when I was a kid, to pick up my music and talk about deals and swap Bobs back and forth, because there are two Bobs and there are two Dixies, and it's part of their great idea of how they can use doubles to switch places. So I'd have to go out there in the middle of the night, and I'd hear some of these, like, government officials talking, and one time they wanted to kill me. One of them said, no, you know, not right now. And they nodded his head and said, just wait, Mikey. He's like, oh, and I started thinking as a kid, Mikey? Okay, so they're not going to kill me now because, just wait, because Mikey in the future? So what's this about Mikey? Well, Mikey Nichols hijacked my vehicle, wouldn't let me take ownership of my own vehicle that I owned, again, when we were driving, like, or possession of my own vehicle. I kept telling him to stop. Wouldn't stop. And then Monica Allen, who had been pretending to be my best friend for years, at her cue of saying, hey, look over there, he jerked the steering wheel over to the right for purposes of taking it down off the road a little bit into a gully, to then overcorrect, which he knew would tip the car and roll it. And that's what he did. I mean, I saw his facial expression too, and he's pretty determined and had his jaw gritted right before he did that. But Monica was actually taking part in that by saying when he should flip it, saying, look over there. And that was actually a cue, because Mike Middleton and some of these people who worked with the government, when I was younger, they used to say things like, don't look back. It's always look over there or don't look back. And then on one occasion, Mike Middleton, I was in a car with Mike Middleton, and this was in Europe. He said, don't look back, and then he went, and just yanked the steering wheel over to the right. We went crashing into a structure, and the whole side of my car was dented in, and I was totally unharmed, like, miraculously, and I have no idea why. And then all of a sudden, I was freaked out. But there were so many people from the public that were there all of a sudden that I guess I escaped because, well, you know, I lived and I didn't have any injuries. And I think a couple of people were freaked out by it because several times the U.S. tried to murder me, and I really miraculously didn't die. And how many people? And on another occasion, someone ran me off the road, and so I'd have a panic response when my car went shooting down one way and then over across the another way. I went right up a guy wire of a telephone pole and did not crash into the tree directly. So, and I was completely unharmed. But that occurred after coming back from Robin Bechtolds' house. The Bechtolds and the Nichols were both groups of people that were showing up in that back driveway in Sherwood, doing some kind of government thing against me. So, you know, later, here's Monica Allen, and, you know, I had no friends. I mean, I have to say right now, why am I making this video? I don't have any friends. I mean, I'm sure I have friends out there that I'm unaware of, that maybe I haven't met. But as to the people I thought were my friends, the government isolated me to have specific people in my circle. And it was very narrow. So Stephanie Myers was someone I thought was a best friend for a while, and she was actually testing my responses for programming that the U.S. government had did to have me run, well, to have me have brake failure with my car to confuse the gas with the brakes in a panic situation, and they trained me on that several times. They wanted to make sure that they reinforced this incorrect panic response. And then she was testing that out to see if I still had the kind of response that they wanted. Because when they wanted to kill me, they wanted to kill me. So that was Stephanie Myers, my best friend all through junior highs, you know, in some elementary school, so I thought. Then I had Monica Allen as a best friend, quote unquote, and I didn't remember that she had done some bad things to me when she was younger, when I got trafficked over to Oregon from Washington State. So then when I was, so then, you know, she pretty much showed her true colors when she was telling Mike, giving Mike a signal of when he should try rolling that car when we were on a road trip on Highway 66, Route 66. Or we were actually on a road that was in Nevada, and it was going to cut down across to Route 66, was my plan. And so, you know, those are my best friends, so-called. And aside from that, I haven't had any best friends, you know, and the ones that I've had wanted me to die. And were planning all along to have me killed. They worked for the United States government. Their families did. They were stealing from me. They were also, Monica and her family held me hostage in their house, and they were using their house to switch some of the Bob and Dixies back and forth. They also made me sing there and write a song. I had to write a couple songs on the spot while they recorded them, and there were some cops there. That was when I was a little kid. I also had to do some of that over at the Myers house. You know, I'm talking about Stephanie Myers. So I had to do some of the same thing over there. They were also involved in screwing me out of the Madonna contract when I wrote every single song that's on the Like a Virgin CD. And at first, I was going to get some of the money, and then they decided they'd make more money if they just screwed me out of all of it and denied that I wrote anything. So they kept taking advantage of me. At first, I had a little bit of decision-making ability and power, and then they just figured, okay, well, we can torture her. We can torture her and hold her hostage and hold her parents hostage and do really bad things, and we can take all this money and all the credit for ourselves. So that's what the CIA and FBI was doing. FBI acted like the transport and the cover for the CIA. And you know, military was involved because they relied on the military for how they tortured me. They practiced what kind of torture they were going to use against me in FBI offices. But all of that to say, you know, Mike Nichols actually did try to roll my car, tried to kill me, and I broke my neck, which is why I have some neck problems now. I have serious neck problems because of my broken neck. which resulted from that car accident because he hijacked my car, rolled it on purpose. He supposedly died, but I don't think he really died. I think that Monica was fine. She got a full cover from the government. And Mike Nichols supposedly died. And I did hear raspy breathing from him when I was like going in and out of consciousness. However, that doesn't mean he died. And because he was instrumental in hijacking my car, I believe that it's very likely the United States government just put him in a witness protection program, which wasn't really witness protection. It was just their assassination cover program. And that's what I think. I think that's possible. Because on another occasion, I was trying to report a nurse. For example, a nurse named Judy Rourke when I was a kid, when I was young. Because they were dragging me. They were trying to drag me at my house, keep me from getting upset and wanting to make reports and call for help and go to the public about things. And when I said I was going to make a report, and I started writing a report against Judy Rourke, and I said I know that she's FBI, because I did know she was FBI. I started writing a report to the OIG, or the Professional Liability Group over in D.C., and all of a sudden, someone from the FBI told my mom to tell me Judy's dead. They faked an entire death of Judy Rourke when I was a little kid, and I wasn't living right next to her, so I couldn't verify that she was not dead. But I was told she was dead, and they had FBI people show up at my house to tell me she was dead. Well, I found out later Judy Rourke was not dead. But what they were telling me is, since she's dead, you can't make a report against her. So the FBI was trying to quash my ability to even make reports against people who are harming me by lying and saying they were dead. And so when they've said, when I tried to report Mike Nichols as actually hijacking my car and committing a crime against me when he did what he did, the cops were blowing that off, saying, well, he's dead anyway, and I'm not going to write a report against a dead man. You know, so is he dead? I highly doubt it. Just like, you know, there are a number of individuals that whose deaths I question.